Guess who's back? It's another math episode from Mr. Mac. Alright. So, for test 2 task number 2. Question 1. We'll be dealing with word problems. Jenna has a math test. She plans to study 5/6 hour tonight and 3/4 of an hour tomorrow night. We just want to know how many hours does she study in all. So I like to highlight just so I have an idea what's going on. And one of the key things is I have these two numbers and I want to figure out how much she's going to study in all. So when I see in all, that's basically asking what's going to be the total amount of time Jenna studies. So what we're going to need to do is find the sum of 5/6 and 3/4. Let's go ahead and do it. And we're 5/6 plus 3/4. And as always, first thing we want to do is find our least common denominator. So we write down the two denominators that we're dealing with, and we list their multiples to see if the small number will divide into it. 6 times 1 is 6. 4 does not evenly divide into that. 6 times 2 is 12. Good thing about 4 is 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. I don't know where my 3 came from, but as I said, it's 12. And this right here is the smallest number that both of them divide into evenly. Alright, so I'm going to use my LCD as 12. I put my 12 in my denominator, and I ask myself, how many times does 4 divide into 12? It divides into it 3 times, so I multiply the bottom by 3, I multiply the top by 3, and I end up getting a 9 over here. Over here, 6 times what will give me 12? 6 times 2 will give me 12. I multiply the bottom by 2, multiply the top by 2, so we can get an equivalent fraction to then go ahead and find their sum. Alright, so that ends up being 10 over 12 plus 9 over 12, which gives me an amazing 19 over 12. And as a mixed number, that will be 1 and 7/12 of an hour. Alright. Next question. You bought 6 and 9/12 yards of ribbon. You used 2 2/3. How many yards do you have left? Alright, so that means if this is the total I bought, the 6 and 1/9, I'm taking off 2 2/3. How much we have left? The operation we'll need to do is subtraction. So let's set up our question. First, we're going to go ahead and convert these mixed numbers into a proper fraction. Again, whole number times the denominator, then we add the numerator to that product. So 9 times 6 is 54. 54 plus 1 gives us 55. And we keep the denominator of 9. Same transaction in the bottom. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 2 gives us 8 over 3. Don't forget that we're doing subtraction. Now that we've done that, we want to find equivalent fractions to go ahead and find how much ribbon will be left. So we're going to take that and figure out what our least common denominator is. Now I always will recommend, if this is something you always have trouble with, and list the multiples, and I always start with the biggest one. I ask myself, can 3 divide into the bigger one? Luckily, it is true. So let's look at it. 3 times 2 gives us 6. 3 times 3 gives us 9. So they share this common multiple of 9. Alright, in order for us to get 9 from the first fraction, we just need to multiply it times 1. And we keep 9. Whatever we do in the bottom, we do in the top. And it becomes 55 over 9. Same thing in the bottom. 9 divided by 3. Just 3. Multiply the bottom by 3. Multiply the top by 3. And we get 24. But we cannot forget that what we're going to do with these numbers is subtract them. So once I find the difference, I get a difference of 31 over 9. And that is equal to 3 4/9 ribbon left. Just say yards left. On to the next question. The length of a track around a field is 1/4 of a mile. You jogged 5.5 times around the track. How far did you go? What I like to do is let students think about these types of questions with easier numbers. So let's just say the length around the track was 1 mile and you jogged it 5 times. So if the numbers were really that simple, in order to figure out how far you jogged, you'd multiply both values. The only difference here is that we're dealing with a proper fraction, which is 1/4, and we're dealing with a mixed number, which is 5 and 1/12. Still going to do the same exact operation of multiplication, but it'll be a little bit more difficult, but nothing that we can't handle. All right, so we're going to take our value of 1/4. We're going to multiply it by 5 1/2. To make our lives a little bit easier, we're going to take that 5 1/2 and turn it into an improper fraction. 5 times 2 gives us 10, plus 1, we get 11 over 2. From there, we find our product. 1 times 11 gives us 11. 4 times 2 gives us 8. And all of that is equivalent to 1 3/8 when converted. All right, so that's 1 3/8 miles. That's it for that question. Now to question number 4. How many 1.5 ounce servings of Honey Nut Cheerios are in a 19-ounce box? So again, let's go back to our highlighting. We want to figure out how many of these servings are in a 19.5 box. So when they're asking you how many times something goes into another thing, that right there is an indication of division. All right, we take the total and we divide it by the part. So we have that 19.5 ounces, and we are dividing it by 1.5 ounces. Okay, take these numbers and we're going to end up multiplying by the reciprocal. All right, we keep that 19.5. All right, and we can convert that into its improper fraction, which then becomes 19 times 2, which is 38. 38 plus 1 gives us 39. Keep the denominator of 2. And the same thing in the down here. We have 1 times 2, which is 2 plus 1. You get 3 over 2. All right, so now let's go on to the step where we're going to be multiplying by the reciprocal. 39 over 2. All right, divided by 3 over 2. All right, we keep that. We go on to 39 over 2. The opposite of division is multiplication. All right, and we multiply by the reciprocal in order to find the quotient. The reciprocal of 3 over 2 is 2 over 3. Now, if you feel very advanced, you can always cross simplify. Start first by looking vertically. Is there a number that I know that can divide in 2 and 39 evenly? That's an integer? No. Look here vertically. Is there a number that we know that can divide in 2 and 3 evenly without leaving a remainder? No. If that does not work, we can always look at our diagonals. Once we look at the diagonals, is there a number that we know that can divide evenly into 2 and 2? And the answer is yes, 2. 2 divided into 2 gives us 1. 2 divided into 2 gives us 1. Now I'm going to look at the other diagonal. Is there a number that evenly divides into 3 and 39 without leaving a remainder? It's an integer, and yes, that number is 3. 3 divides into 3 one time, and 3 divides into 39 a total of 13 times. So now that I've done that, I can multiply 13 times 1, which is 13, 1 times 1, which is 1, and we get 13 servings in a box. Okay? Sorry about that little extra right over there, but you get the point. Have a lovely day.